My child, before you scroll, before you move to the next video, pause. Because what I am about to reveal may protect you from a trap you do not even see yet. If you ignore this, you may walk back into a relationship that slowly suffocates your peace within the next few days. You may answer a call that reopens a wound I have been healing. Listen carefully. Not everyone who says, "I care about you," is sent to protect you. Some are sent to control you. Some speak softly, but their intentions are sharp. Some wrap chains in kindness. You pray for love, and the enemy sends manipulation disguised as concern. You call it protection. I call it possession. You call it guidance. I call it control. You call it care. I see the spirit behind it. Today I will uncover what has been hiding in your life. The spirit of manipulation often hides behind the word care. It does not enter loudly. It enters gently. It says, "I'm only saying this because I love you." It says, "I just don't want you to get hurt." It says, "Trust me, I know what's best for you." But slowly your voice disappears. Your confidence shrinks. Your decisions are no longer your own. That is not love. That is control wearing a mask. Listen closely. True love gives freedom. Manipulation removes freedom. True care strengthens you. Manipulation weakens you so you become dependent. When someone truly cares, they want you to grow, even if it means you outgrow them. When someone manipulates, they fear your growth, because your growth reduces their control. The spirit of manipulation works in subtle ways. It uses guilt. It uses fear. It uses emotional pressure. It creates situations where you feel responsible for someone else's happiness. It whispers, "If you loved me, you would. After everything I've done for you, I guess I just don't matter to you." And suddenly you are no longer acting out of conviction. You are acting out of fear. My child, I did not create you to be controlled by emotional pressure. I created you with a free will. Even when I guide you, I do not force you. I invite you. That is how you recognize my spirit. I lead with peace, not pressure. Manipulation often begins with overprotection. Someone constantly checks where you are. They question your choices. They criticize your friends. They isolate you from others for your own good. At first, it feels like devotion. Later, it feels like a cage. Love does not isolate you from healthy relationships. Love does not compete with everyone in your life. Love does not demand loyalty through fear. Manipulation demands exclusivity. Love offers security. You must understand this. The enemy cannot always destroy you with hatred, so he tries to bind you with false affection. It is easier to escape someone who hates you. It is harder to escape someone who claims they just care so much. Some of you listening right now have been calling manipulation love for years. You have been shrinking to keep someone comfortable. You silence your dreams so they won't feel insecure. You apologize for things you did not do just to keep peace. That is not peace. That is survival. And I did not call you to survive relationships. I called you to thrive in truth. Here is a truth you must engrave in your heart. Love respects boundaries. Manipulation violates boundaries and then calls you selfish for having them. When someone reacts with anger because you set a healthy boundary, it reveals their true intention. If they truly cared, they would respect the line you drew. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. You are not cold for refusing emotional control. You are not rebellious for thinking for yourself. Let me give you wisdom. Control seeks ownership. Love seeks partnership. Control says, "You are mine." Love says, "I choose you." There is a difference, and that difference is freedom. I once said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Understand this deeply. Truth liberates. Manipulation enslaves. If a relationship consistently makes you anxious, fearful, confused, and guilty, examine it. My spirit brings clarity, not chaos. When I correct you, I do not shame you. When I guide you, I do not threaten you. When I love you, I do not control you. Strong lesson for you to carry. Love does not demand your silence to survive. Turn this into knowledge. If someone requires you to become smaller so they can feel bigger, that is not divine love. That is insecurity using affection as a tool. My love makes you stronger, wiser, and more confident in who you are. If someone's care makes you constantly doubt yourself, something is wrong. Some of you have spiritualized manipulation. You say, they're just protective. Or, they're just passionate. No. Protection does not suffocate. Passion does not intimidate. Care does not control. Discernment is necessary. Ask yourself, do I feel free to say no? Do I feel safe expressing disagreement? Can I grow without being punished emotionally? If the answer is no, you are not in a healthy space. Now listen carefully. Manipulation is not always loud. Sometimes it comes from people who truly believe they are right. Sometimes they learned control from their own wounds. But wounded people can still wound others. Compassion does not require captivity. Understanding someone's pain does not mean you must endure their control. My child, I care about your freedom. I care about your peace. I care about your emotional safety. And sometimes my protection looks like distance. Sometimes my blessing looks like separation. Sometimes the closed door you cry about is the shield you prayed for. To those of you listening across this nation, in your homes, in your cars, late at night when no one sees the tears, I see you. I see the relationships that confuse you. I see the conversations that leave you drained. I see the silent battles you fight between love and self-respect. You are not crazy for sensing something is wrong. That unease in your spirit is not imagination. It is discernment trying to wake you up. Do not ignore it. I did not create you to live under emotional pressure. I did not design you to constantly prove your loyalty. You do not need to earn love through exhaustion. You are already loved, fully, deeply, eternally. When someone tries to manipulate you, remember who you belong to. Your identity is not in their approval. Your worth is not in their validation. You are mine. And because you are mine, you deserve relationships that reflect my character. Patient, kind, truthful, and free. If you need to walk away, I will walk with you. If you need to set boundaries, I will strengthen you. If you feel afraid to disappoint someone, remember, pleasing everyone is not your calling. Walking in truth is. Some of you are about to reclaim your voice. Some of you are about to stop apologizing for existing. Some of you are about to realize that love should feel safe. You are not alone in this. I am restoring your clarity. I am sharpening your discernment. I am breaking the chains that were disguised as comfort. You will not be controlled by false care. You will not be trapped by emotional pressure. You will walk in freedom. And where my spirit is, there is freedom. Stay with me. Continue listening. Continue learning. Because this revelation is only beginning. Stay with me, my child. Do not rush away from this moment. I'm not speaking to condemn you. I'm speaking to free you. There are some of you listening right now who have normalized emotional exhaustion. You wake up already anxious about how someone will react today. You measure your words carefully, not out of wisdom, but out of fear. You rehearse conversations in your mind so you won't trigger anger, guilt, or silent treatment. That is not the life I designed for you. The spirit of manipulation thrives in environments where fear is tolerated. It feeds on your desire to keep peace at any cost. It studies your compassion and uses it against you. It recognizes that you have a soft heart, so it pushes against it again and again. But hear me clearly, compassion without boundaries becomes captivity. You were never meant to carry someone else's emotional stability on your shoulders. You are not responsible for managing another person's insecurity. You are not assigned to fix wounds you did not create. Manipulation often disguises itself as vulnerability. Someone cries and you feel guilty for even thinking of setting limits. Someone reminds you of their trauma, and you feel trapped into staying silent. Someone says, "You're all I have," and you feel responsible for their entire world. But love does not imprison through dependence. Healthy connection does not require emotional hostage-taking. There is a difference between caring for someone and being controlled by their needs. Caring is a choice. Control is a demand. The spirit of manipulation studies your weaknesses. If you fear abandonment, it threatens to leave. If you fear conflict, it raises its voice. If you crave approval, it withholds affirmation. If you value harmony, it creates chaos until you surrender. It is strategic. It is patient. It is subtle. And if you are not spiritually alert, you will call it intense love. My child, intensity is not the same as purity. Just because something feels strong does not mean it is healthy. Fire can warm you, but fire can also burn down your house. Let me teach you something deeper. Manipulation often works through confusion. One day they praise you. The next day they criticize you. One moment they promise forever. The next moment they withdraw affection. This emotional inconsistency keeps you chasing stability. You begin trying harder, loving harder, explaining more, giving more. But the more you give to a manipulative spirit, the more it expects. Why? Because control is never satisfied. It always wants more access, more influence, more power over your decisions. True love does not compete with your growth. It celebrates it. If someone feels threatened when you succeed, that is not care. If someone becomes distant when you grow stronger, that is not support. If someone discourages your dreams because it makes them uncomfortable, that is not protection. I'm not threatened by your growth. I am the one who planted those dreams inside you. Understand this deeply. The enemy is not always trying to destroy you instantly. Sometimes he tries to slowly drain you, slowly weaken your confidence, slowly make you doubt your instincts. A controlled person is easier to silence than a confident one. That is why I am restoring your discernment. Some of you have been ignoring red flags because you did not want to lose the relationship. You told yourself, nobody is perfect. And that is true, no one is perfect. But imperfection is different from manipulation. Imperfection apologizes and grows. Manipulation denies and repeats. Imperfection listens when you express hurt. Manipulation flips the blame and makes you feel guilty for speaking up. Imperfection seeks understanding. Manipulation seeks dominance. You must learn to recognize patterns, not just words. Words can be sweet. Patterns reveal truth. If every disagreement ends with you apologizing even when you were not wrong, that is a pattern. If every boundary you set leads to emotional punishment, that is a pattern. If your peace disappears whenever you express independence, that is a pattern. Patterns speak louder than promises. Listen to me carefully. You are allowed to outgrow dynamics that once felt comfortable. You are allowed to say, this no longer feels healthy. You are allowed to choose peace over performance. You do not owe access to someone who abuses it. And hear this life-changing truth. Anything that controls you cannot truly love you. Turn that into knowledge. Love does not need to control because love is secure. Control is born from insecurity. Love trusts. Control monitors. Love encourages. Control restricts. If someone needs constant updates, constant proof, constant reassurance, not from a place of mutual trust but from suspicion and dominance, that is not healthy care. It may feel flattering at first. It may feel like deep interest, but over time, it becomes surveillance. My spirit does not watch you to trap you. I watch over you to protect you. There is a difference. Some of you are beginning to realize that what you thought was passion was actually possession. What you thought was deep connection was actually dependency. What you thought was loyalty was actually fear of being alone. Do not be ashamed. Growth requires awareness. And awareness is happening right now. You are waking up. You are realizing that constant guilt is not love. You are recognizing that walking on eggshells is not intimacy. You are understanding that shrinking yourself is not sacrifice. It is self-abandonment. I never asked you to abandon yourself to prove love. I asked you to love others as you love yourself, not instead of yourself. When you abandon your voice to keep someone, you slowly lose your identity. When you suppress your needs to avoid conflict, resentment grows. When you silence your intuition repeatedly, confusion becomes normal. But you were created for clarity. You were created to stand in truth without fear. Let me speak to your heart right now. You are not difficult for wanting respect. You are not dramatic for wanting honesty. You are not selfish for wanting freedom. You are healthy. And healthy people require healthy love. The spirit of manipulation fears exposure. Once you recognize it, it begins to lose power. Once you stop responding to guilt tactics, it weakens. Once you refuse to accept emotional threats, it becomes frustrated. That frustration may look like anger. It may look like blame. It may look like sudden coldness. Do not be intimidated. When light enters a dark room, darkness does not negotiate, it retreats. You are the light in that situation. Your clarity is disrupting the control. Stay firm. Stay prayerful. Stay grounded. If you must step back to regain peace, do not feel guilty. Sometimes distance is necessary for discernment. Sometimes separation is necessary for restoration. You do not have to hate someone to release them. You do not have to fight someone to set boundaries. You can walk away calmly and still love them from afar. Peace is not weakness. It is strength under control. And I am strengthening you right now. Continue listening. Continue allowing these truths to settle deep into your spirit. There is more I need to show you. Stay with me a little longer. Do not rush this healing. I am peeling back layers that have been covering your discernment for years. Some of you did not enter manipulation suddenly. You were conditioned into it. It started small. A comment here. A correction there. A joke that made you uncomfortable but you laughed anyway. A subtle disapproval of your friends. A suggestion about how you should dress, speak, think, or behave. Nothing extreme at first. Just small adjustments. But small adjustments repeated over time reshape identity. And before you knew it, you were no longer asking, "What do I believe?" You were asking, "What will keep them calm?" That shift is dangerous. When your primary motivation becomes avoiding someone's reaction, you are no longer living freely. You are living cautiously. You are managing moods instead of walking in truth. I did not create you to manage someone else's storms. Listen carefully. Manipulation often hides inside advice. It presents itself as wisdom. It says, "I'm older, I know better." It says, "Trust me, I've experienced more." It says, "You're too emotional to see clearly." And slowly your confidence erodes. You begin doubting your own thoughts. You question your instincts. You hesitate before making simple decisions. That is not humility. That is erosion. Healthy guidance empowers you to think. Manipulation trains you to depend. Healthy love celebrates your independence. Manipulation fears it. My child, your voice matters. Your perspective matters. The wisdom I place inside you is not an accident. If someone consistently dismisses your insight, they are not protecting you, they are diminishing you. Let me go deeper. The spirit of manipulation thrives in silence. It survives when you are afraid to speak. It grows when you convince yourself, "It's not that bad." It strengthens when you tolerate what you know is wrong. You feel it in your chest, that tightness. You feel it in your stomach, that knot. You sense something is off, but you push it down because you do not want conflict. But peace built on silence is fragile. Real peace is built on truth. There are some listening right now who have been emotionally blackmailed. You have heard words like, "If you leave, I don't know what I'll do. You're the only one who understands me. I can't survive without you." And instead of feeling loved, you feel trapped. Love does not threaten collapse if you set a boundary. Love does not make you responsible for someone else's emotional survival. Hear this clearly: you can care about someone without carrying them. There is a difference between support and sacrifice of self. I'm calling you back to balance. Some of you have confused endurance with righteousness. You think staying in a draining situation proves loyalty. You think tolerating disrespect shows strength. You think silence shows maturity. But strength is not measured by how much pain you can endure. Strength is measured by how firmly you stand in truth. There were moments in my earthly walk where I withdrew from crowds. There were times I did not answer every demand. There were times I stepped away from pressure. Withdrawal is not weakness. It is wisdom. If you never step back, you cannot see clearly. Manipulation clouds vision. It keeps you emotionally entangled so you cannot evaluate objectively. It creates urgency where there should be patience. It creates drama where there should be dialogue. And when you try to address it, it flips the script. Suddenly you are the selfish one, the cold one, the ungrateful one. That reversal is a tactic. When accountability feels like attack to someone, it reveals their motive. Healthy people may feel uncomfortable when corrected, but they reflect. Manipulative spirits retaliate. You must stop confusing reaction with righteousness. If someone explodes when you calmly state your needs, that explosion is information. Pay attention to reactions. They reveal what words try to hide. My child, you do not need to argue to prove your point. You do not need to shout to defend your peace. Sometimes the most powerful response is calm consistency. When you stop reacting emotionally, manipulation loses leverage. When you respond with clarity instead of guilt, control weakens. Let me teach you another truth. Love invites conversation. Manipulation avoids accountability. Turn that into wisdom. If someone cannot handle honest dialogue without turning it into chaos, that is not emotional maturity. That is control protecting itself. Some of you have been living in cycles. Apology, calm, tension, explosion, reconciliation, then repeat. That cycle feels familiar now, almost normal. But normal does not mean healthy. A peaceful relationship does not feel like walking through a minefield. It does not require constant emotional recovery. It does not leave you drained every week. You were not created for emotional roller coasters. You were created for steady ground. And steady ground may feel unfamiliar at first. You may even mistake calm for boredom because you have grown used to intensity. But intensity is not intimacy. Let that settle. Intensity is not intimacy. Intimacy is safety. It is transparency. It is mutual respect. It is freedom to disagree without fear of punishment. If someone only feels close to you when you are submissive, that is not intimacy. That is control. You deserve connection where your personality is not a threat. Now let me speak to the fear you may be feeling. You are afraid that if you pull back, you will lose them. You are afraid that if you stop accommodating, they will leave. You are afraid that setting boundaries will create distance. And perhaps it will. But if someone only stays because you shrink, that presence is conditional. Love that requires you to disappear is not love worth keeping. You do not need to twist yourself to be chosen. You do not need to silence yourself to be kept. You do not need to exhaust yourself to be valued. I chose you without conditions. My love does not fluctuate with your performance. My commitment does not depend on your compliance. That is the standard. When you understand how deeply secure you are in me, manipulation loses its grip. Because it preys on insecurity. It feeds on fear of abandonment. It survives on the belief that you are not enough on your own. But you are not alone. I am strengthening your backbone. I am restoring your self-respect. I am teaching you to distinguish between care and control. Some of you will need courage in the coming days. Conversations may arise. Boundaries may be tested. Guilt may resurface. Stand firm. Speak calmly. Do not over-explain. Do not over-justify. Do not over-apologize. Truth does not require excessive defense. And remember this: you can love someone and still refuse to be manipulated. Those two truths can exist together. Continue with me. There is still more I am uncovering in your heart. Stay with me. Do not grow weary of this truth. I am not repeating myself. I am reinforcing your freedom. There are some of you who have been asking, how did I not see this sooner? Do not condemn yourself. Manipulation rarely announces itself. It blends into familiarity. It hides in shared memories. It attaches itself to history, to laughter, to moments that felt real. That is why it is confusing. The spirit of manipulation does not erase the good moments. It mixes them with control so you doubt your own clarity. You remember the kindness and question your concerns. You replay the affection and minimize the pressure. But hear me clearly, a few good moments do not cancel a harmful pattern. A relationship cannot be sustained by nostalgia. You cannot build a healthy future by clinging to selective memories. Some of you are emotionally bonded to potential, not reality. You are loving who they could be, not who they consistently show themselves to be. You are hoping for transformation without evidence of responsibility. Hope is beautiful, but hope without boundaries becomes denial. I'm not asking you to become cynical. I'm asking you to become discerning. Discernment does not hate. It observes. It listens. It evaluates fruit, not just words. If someone says they respect you but repeatedly crosses your limits, believe the behavior. If someone promises change but avoids accountability, believe the pattern. If someone says they care but your mental health is declining, believe your experience. Your emotional health matters to me. Your peace matters to me. Your clarity matters to me. You are not overthinking when your spirit feels unsettled. Sometimes that unrest is protection. Sometimes that discomfort is my spirit alerting you that something is misaligned. Manipulation often creates emotional fog. You feel confused after conversations. You question what was said. You replay arguments trying to figure out how you became the villain for expressing hurt. That confusion is not accidental. When truth is twisted repeatedly, clarity weakens. But I am restoring your clarity now. Let me teach you something powerful. Control often disguises itself as sacrifice. Someone may say, "Look at all I've done for you." They present their effort as proof that you owe them compliance. But generosity that demands repayment is not generosity, it is leverage. True love gives freely. It does not keep score. It does not weaponize past favors. It does not bring receipts to win arguments. When someone constantly reminds you of what they have done, they are building a debt system. Love does not operate on debt. It operates on mutual honor. Some of you feel indebted emotionally. You think, they helped me when I was struggling. I can't leave. Gratitude is honorable. But gratitude does not require lifelong captivity. You can appreciate someone's past support and still recognize present harm. You can be thankful and still move forward. I want you to understand something deeply. You are not betraying someone by protecting your well-being. Self-respect is not rebellion. Boundaries are not cruelty. Distance is not hatred. Sometimes distance is the only way to see clearly. When you are constantly inside the dynamic, it is hard to evaluate it. But when you step back, patterns become visible. You begin noticing how often you compromise, how often you apologize, how often you feel small. That awareness is not bitterness, it is awakening. An awakening can feel uncomfortable, because when you wake up, you must decide what to do with what you now see. Some of you are afraid of confrontation. You fear escalation. You fear being misunderstood. You fear drama. But listen carefully. Avoiding discomfort today can create deeper pain tomorrow. Delayed boundaries become heavier boundaries. If you do not speak gently now, you may explode later. And that explosion will not reflect who you truly are. It will reflect accumulated frustration. I am teaching you balance, calm strength, clear communication. You do not need to attack to assert yourself. You can say, "This makes me uncomfortable." You can say, "I need space." You can say, "That comment was hurtful." You can say, "I will not accept that." Simple, clear, steady. Manipulation often tries to provoke extreme reactions so it can label you unstable. Stay composed. When you respond with calm consistency, truth stands on its own. Let me speak to those who feel guilty even listening to this message. You are not wrong for seeking clarity. You are not disloyal for evaluating your relationships. Healthy love welcomes growth. If someone feels threatened by your awareness, that reveals insecurity, not your wrongdoing. You do not have to rescue everyone. Some of you were raised to believe your role is to fix, to heal, to carry, to absorb. You learned that love means endurance. You learned that leaving is failure. But there is a difference between perseverance and self-destruction. Perseverance is enduring hardship together while both are committed to growth. Self-destruction is enduring harm alone while the other refuses responsibility. You cannot heal someone who refuses to see their behavior. Stay with me, my child. Let this go even deeper. There is another layer of manipulation that many do not recognize. Spiritual manipulation. It hides behind sacred language. It uses faith, morality, and even scripture-like phrases to pressure you into compliance. It says, if you were truly loving, you would submit. It says, you're being rebellious. It says, God would want you to endure this. But listen carefully, I never use fear to force obedience. I never use shame to demand loyalty. I never twist truth to trap you. If someone uses spiritual language to silence your concerns, that is not holiness. That is control wearing religious clothing. My truth brings freedom, not fear. My guidance brings peace, not intimidation. My correction brings conviction, not humiliation. If you feel constantly spiritually inferior in someone's presence, like you can never measure up, that is not my heart toward you. I correct to restore, not to dominate. Now let me speak to something subtle. Manipulation often creates dependency by making you question your ability to function alone. You can't handle this without me. You wouldn't survive out there. Nobody else would understand you. Those statements plant seeds of doubt. And doubt grows quietly. You begin believing you are weaker than you are. You forget your resilience. You forget your capacity. You forget how strong you were before the dynamic began shaping your identity. But you were strong before them. You were capable before them. You were whole before them. They did not create your value, they only interacted with it. The spirit of manipulation wants you to believe that your strength comes from proximity to them. But your strength comes from me. And I am not leaving you. Some of you are afraid of loneliness. You think, even if it's imperfect, at least I'm not alone. But being emotionally controlled is not companionship. It is isolation disguised as connection. Loneliness in a crowd is heavier than solitude in peace. Solitude can heal. Control suffocates. There is healing in rediscovering your voice. There is healing in sitting quietly without someone monitoring your choices. There is healing in hearing your own thoughts without them being corrected or criticized. Do not fear that quiet space. It is not emptiness, it is restoration. Now listen carefully to this wisdom. Anything that makes you afraid to be yourself is not love. Turn that into knowledge. Love makes room for your personality. Love makes room for your growth. Love makes room for your individuality. If someone needs you to mirror them to feel secure, they are not looking for partnership. They are looking for control. Partnership honors difference. Control demands conformity. Some of you have dimmed your light to avoid conflict. You laugh less. You share less. You dream smaller. You speak cautiously. That dimming was not maturity. It was self-protection. But I did not like you to be hidden by fear. You were designed to shine, confidently, boldly, peacefully. If someone is irritated by your joy, threatened by your ambition, or unsettled by your independence, that discomfort belongs to them, not you. Do not internalize someone else's insecurity. You are not responsible for shrinking to accommodate their fear. Now let me prepare you for something important. When you begin to set boundaries, manipulation may intensify temporarily. You may see sudden affection, over-the-top apologies, grand promises, emotional vulnerability that seems deeper than ever before. Be discerning. Change is not proven by emotional intensity. It is proven by consistent behavior over time. Do not confuse temporary tenderness with transformation. Real growth is steady. It is accountable. It accepts responsibility without shifting blame. It does not require you to abandon your boundaries to prove reconciliation. If someone truly wants to change, they will respect the space you need to rebuild trust. Pressure to move on quickly is often an attempt to restore control. Healing cannot be rushed. Trust cannot be forced. Safety cannot be demanded. It must be rebuilt, slowly, humbly, intentionally. Some of you are realizing that you have been negotiating your worth. You have been bargaining for basic respect. You have been asking for the bare minimum and calling it victory when you receive it. You do not have to beg for what should be natural. Respect is not a luxury. Honesty is not optional. Emotional safety is not extra. These are foundations. If the foundation is cracked, decoration will not fix it. Hear me gently now. You deserve stability. You deserve peace. You deserve a love that does not feel like constant work to maintain. Healthy love requires effort, yes, but it does not require fear-based compliance. You should not feel relief every time conflict does not happen. Peace should not feel like a rare event. It should feel normal. Let me speak directly to your heart across this nation, wherever you are listening, in your room, at your desk, in your car, late at night when your thoughts are loud. I see the moments you cry quietly. I see the conversations you replay. I see the doubts that whisper, maybe it's me. It is not you for wanting respect. It is not you for wanting honesty. It is not you for wanting space to breathe. You are not asking for too much. You may simply be asking the wrong person. That realization can hurt. But pain that leads to clarity is not punishment, it is protection. If you must walk through a season of uncomfortable truth to reach lasting peace, I will walk with you. You are not abandoning love by rejecting manipulation. You are redefining it correctly. There is something else you must understand. Manipulation does not only happen in romantic relationships. It can appear in friendships. It can appear in family dynamics. It can appear in workplaces. It can even appear in communities where trust should feel safe. It can come from people you never expected. And that is why it is so difficult to confront. When manipulation comes from someone close, you question yourself more than you question them. You think, they've known me for years. They've been there for me. They wouldn't intentionally hurt me. But harm does not have to be intentional to be real. Impact matters. If someone consistently leaves you feeling small, confused, guilty, or controlled, that impact deserves attention. Some of you have been loyal beyond what was healthy. You believed endurance was proof of love. You thought tolerating dysfunction showed strength. You stayed because you did not want to be seen as disloyal. But loyalty without wisdom becomes bondage. I'm not calling you to abandon people at the first mistake. I am calling you to evaluate repeated patterns without denial. Let me show you something deeper. Manipulation often thrives in imbalanced power. One person always has the final say. One person's emotions dictate the atmosphere. One person's needs override everyone else's. And over time you adjust. You adjust your tone. You adjust your schedule. You adjust your priorities. You adjust your personality. But you rarely see them adjusting for you. That imbalance is not unity. It is hierarchy disguised as harmony. Healthy love is mutual. It bends both ways. It listens both ways. It sacrifices both ways. If sacrifice only flows in one direction, something is misaligned. Now let me address something very important. Some of you fear that if you stop accommodating manipulation, you will be labeled difficult. You fear losing your reputation as the easygoing one. You fear disappointing others who benefit from your silence. But hear me clearly. Peacekeeping at the cost of your soul is not righteousness. There is a difference between being peaceful and being passive. Peacefulness stands in truth with calm confidence. Passivity avoids conflict at any cost. I did not design you to live in constant avoidance. Your voice has weight. Your boundaries have value. Your needs are not inconveniences. The spirit of manipulation often preys on kind people. It targets those who forgive easily. It targets those who empathize deeply. It targets those who would rather absorb pain than cause discomfort. But absorbing pain repeatedly does not make you holy. It makes you exhausted. I do not celebrate your exhaustion. I desire your wholeness. Let me say something that may challenge you. You are not required to understand someone's behavior in order to tolerate it. You can understand their trauma and still refuse their control. You can empathize with their past and still protect your present. You can care about their struggles and still choose distance. Compassion does not cancel boundaries. Some of you have been stuck because you are waiting for them to admit it. You are waiting for a confession. Waiting for them to say, I've been manipulating you. Waiting for validation that your feelings are correct. But awareness does not require their agreement. You do not need someone's confession to confirm your experience. If your peace has been repeatedly disturbed, that is enough information. Now let me speak to the fear of confrontation again. You may be thinking, what if I'm wrong? That fear keeps you silent. But ask yourself this, what if you are right? What if your discernment is accurate? What if your spirit has been warning you for months? Silencing your intuition repeatedly creates internal division. Part of you knows the truth. Another part of you is afraid to act on it. That internal conflict is draining. Clarity may cost comfort, but confusion costs peace. Choose clarity. You may not need dramatic confrontation. Sometimes the shift begins internally. You stop over-explaining. You stop volunteering information to someone who uses it against you. You stop seeking approval. You stop reacting to guilt tactics. Your energy changes. And when your energy changes, dynamics shift. Manipulation depends on predictable responses. When you stop responding the same way, the control loses stability. You may notice resistance. You may notice pressure. You may notice increased attempts to regain influence. Stand firm. You do not have to argue every point. Silence can be strength when it is intentional, not fearful. You do not owe immediate emotional reactions. You can say, I need time to think. You can say, that doesn't work for me. You can say, I'm not comfortable with that. Short, calm, Clear. Now listen closely to this life lesson. Freedom requires courage before it feels comfortable. Turn that into knowledge. The first steps toward freedom feel uncertain. You may feel shaky. You may doubt yourself. You may wonder if you are overreacting. But as you continue standing in truth, strength grows. You will begin noticing how much mental space manipulation once occupied. You will realize how much energy you used managing someone else's moods. You will see how often you walked on eggshells. And you will breathe differently. That breath, that deep, steady breath, is the sound of freedom returning. Let me speak tenderly to those who feel grief right now. Letting go of manipulation may mean letting go of what you hoped the relationship would become. That hurts. You may grieve the potential. You may grieve the memories. You may grieve the idea of what you thought it was. Grief does not mean you made the wrong choice. It means you cared. But caring does not require captivity. You can release control without releasing compassion. You can pray for someone from a distance. You can wish them healing without sacrificing your own. Some of you are on the edge of a decision. You feel it. A line is being drawn in your heart. You know something must change. You know you cannot continue the same way. I am with you in that decision. You are not weak for struggling with it. You are not heartless for considering it. You are not selfish for choosing peace. You are maturing. And maturity sometimes requires uncomfortable courage. I am strengthening your spine. I am calming your anxiety. I am sharpening your discernment. You are not meant to live controlled by disguised care. You are meant to live in freedom, dignity, and truth. There is one more layer I must uncover: the way manipulation trains you to betray yourself. Yes, betray yourself. It teaches you to ignore what you feel. It teaches you to silence what you think. It teaches you to override your discomfort for the sake of someone else's approval. And every time you ignore that inner warning, a small part of your confidence weakens. You begin saying yes when you mean no. You begin agreeing when you disagree. You begin smiling when you are hurting. That pattern does not happen overnight. It is built slowly, moment by moment, until self-betrayal feels normal. But hear me clearly, you were never created to abandon yourself. When I created you, I placed within you intuition, discernment, awareness. Those are not accidents. Those are protective gifts. If something consistently feels wrong, pay attention. If your body feels tense around someone, pay attention. If your peace disappears after every conversation, pay attention. I often speak in quiet nudges before loud consequences. Some of you ignored small nudges because you did not want to face the truth. Now the pattern is louder. Now the exhaustion is heavier. Now the confusion is deeper. But even now it is not too late. You can begin honoring your voice again. You can begin trusting your perception again. You can begin choosing alignment over appeasement. Let me teach you something powerful about emotional manipulation. It often distorts responsibility. When something goes wrong, you are blamed. When they react harshly, it is because you triggered them. When they withdraw affection, it is because you disappointed them. Slowly, responsibility shifts entirely onto your shoulders. But maturity means owning your reactions, not outsourcing them. You are responsible for your behavior. They are responsible for theirs. You are not accountable for someone else's inability to regulate their emotions. You are not responsible for someone else's insecurity. You are not required to shrink so someone else feels big. Now listen carefully. Love does not punish honesty. Turn that into knowledge. If expressing your feelings results in punishment, silent treatment, anger, guilt-tripping, withdrawal, that is not love protecting itself. That is control protecting itself. Healthy love may feel discomfort when confronted, but it does not retaliate. Some of you have been punished for telling the truth, punished for setting limits, punished for wanting space, punished for disagreeing. And because of that, you learn to stay quiet. But silence is heavy. Silence builds resentment. Silence builds anxiety. Silence builds internal division. I want to free you from that weight. You do not need to explode to reclaim your voice. You do not need to become aggressive to prove your independence. Freedom is not about swinging to the opposite extreme. It is about balance. Calm truth is powerful. You may not control how others respond, but you can control your steadiness. And when you are steady, manipulation cannot shake you as easily. Let me prepare you for another reality. When you begin breaking free, some people may accuse you of changing. They may say, "You're not the same. You used to be easier. You've become distant." And they will be right. You are not the same. You are stronger. You are clearer. You are less available for control. Growth always feels like distance to those who benefited from your weakness. Do not mistake their discomfort for your wrongdoing. You are evolving. You are stepping into emotional maturity. You are choosing alignment over approval. That is not rebellion, it is restoration. Some of you fear losing connection. But ask yourself honestly, was it true connection if you had to suppress yourself to maintain it? Connection that requires performance is not intimacy. Intimacy allows authenticity. You should not have to rehearse your personality. You should not have to filter your dreams. You should not have to minimize your intelligence. You should not have to dim your joy. Let me speak directly to your heart now, especially those listening across this nation who feel torn between love and clarity. You can love someone and still recognize that their behavior is unhealthy. You can care deeply and still say, "This is not acceptable." You can forgive and still create distance. Forgiveness does not mean access. Compassion does not mean proximity. Grace does not mean tolerance of harm. Some of you were taught that enduring everything makes you virtuous. But wisdom discerns when endurance becomes enabling. If your silence allows dysfunction to continue, silence is not kindness. Sometimes love requires truth. Sometimes growth requires separation. Sometimes peace requires boundaries that feel uncomfortable at first. But on the other side of that discomfort is something beautiful: stability. Imagine waking up without anxiety about someone's reaction. Imagine speaking without fear of emotional retaliation. Imagine making decisions without guilt clouding your mind. Imagine laughing freely without scanning the room. That life is possible. And it begins with one decision: no longer calling manipulation care. Call it what it is. Name it clearly. Refuse to romanticize it. Clarity breaks chains. The moment you stop excusing control, its power weakens. Now let me speak encouragement into your spirit. You are not weak for having endured. You are not foolish for believing the best. You are not broken for feeling confused. You are loving. You are hopeful. You are patient. Those qualities are still beautiful. Do not let manipulation harden your heart. Instead, let it sharpen your discernment. There is a difference between becoming guarded and becoming wise. Wisdom keeps your heart open but your boundaries firm. And that is where I am leading you. You will not become cold. You will not become bitter. You will become discerning. You will learn to recognize the difference between intensity and intimacy, between attention and control, between care and possession. And as you grow in this awareness, something incredible will happen. Your standard will rise. You will no longer feel flattered by obsessive behavior. You will no longer mistake jealousy for devotion. You will no longer confuse control with protection. You will seek peace. You will value consistency. You will require respect. And that shift will change every relationship that enters your life from this point forward. I am not just freeing you from manipulation. I am raising your understanding of love. Stay with me. Let this truth anchor you. Let it reshape your expectations. Let it rebuild your confidence. You are not meant to live under disguised control. You are meant to live in freedom, dignity, and secure love. And I am walking you into that freedom, step by step, layer by layer, until nothing false remains attached to your heart. There is something profound you must understand about manipulation. It slowly conditions you to confuse tension with connection. When you have lived in emotional unpredictability long enough, calm can feel unfamiliar. You may even feel restless in peace because you became accustomed to drama. You may associate emotional highs and lows with passion. You may mistake volatility for depth. But chaos is not chemistry. Emotional instability is not intensity of love. If someone creates constant conflict and then makes you feel relief when it temporarily stops, that relief can feel like closeness. But relief from harm is not the same as genuine safety. Safety is steady. Safety is consistent. Safety does not disappear when moods change. You deserve steady. Some of you have been surviving on emotional crumbs. A compliment after criticism. Affection after distance. Attention after silence. And those crumbs feel powerful because they come after deprivation. But love should not feel like scarcity. You should not have to wait for moments of kindness like they are rare rewards. You should not feel grateful for basic respect. If someone only treats you well when they fear losing you, that is not love. That is control adjusting strategy. True love does not improve only when threatened. It is consistent even when secure. Now listen carefully. Consistency reveals character more than intensity ever will. Turn that into knowledge. Anyone can be intense for a season. Anyone can make grand gestures. Anyone can apologize dramatically. But consistency, steady, respectful, accountable behavior, reveals maturity. Watch for consistency. Watch for patterns. Watch for emotional stability. Do not be distracted by emotional performance. Some of you are beginning to realize that you were emotionally addicted to trying to fix the dynamic. You thought if you explained better, loved harder, gave more patience, prayed more intensely, something would shift. But relationships are not healed by one person's effort alone. You cannot carry both sides. Two people must be willing. Two people must reflect. Two people must grow. If only one person is stretching while the other resists, imbalance will remain. And imbalance always creates strain. Let me gently speak to those who feel ashamed for staying longer than they should have. Release the shame. You stayed because you believed in love. You stayed because you hoped for change. You stayed because you saw potential. That does not make you foolish. It makes you compassionate. But now you are wiser. Wisdom does not erase your kindness. It refines it. You will still love. You will still forgive. But you will not ignore red flags. You will not silence your instincts. You will not confuse control with devotion. That is growth. There is another truth you must embrace. Some people are comfortable with you being unsure of yourself. They thrive when you doubt your decisions. They feel secure when you question your worth. They feel powerful when you seek their approval. But when you become confident, when you speak clearly, when you stand firm, their control weakens. And sometimes they respond with subtle resistance. They may mock your boundaries. They may minimize your concerns. They may call you dramatic or too sensitive. But clarity is not drama. Discernment is not oversensitivity. Boundaries are not rebellion. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow unhealthy dynamics. You are allowed to say, "This no longer aligns with who I am becoming." And as you grow, not everyone will be comfortable with the new you. But that discomfort is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is alignment with truth. Let me go even deeper. Manipulation often creates a cycle of fear and reassurance. First, tension rises. Then conflict. Then emotional distance. Then sudden reassurance. Then affection. And that cycle keeps you attached because your nervous system becomes conditioned to chase relief. But relief is not the same as security. Security does not require fear first. Security is stable even in disagreement. Security allows both voices to exist. Security does not collapse when challenged. If your relationship feels like a constant emotional roller coaster, ask yourself, is this truly love, or is this attachment fueled by unpredictability? Do not confuse adrenaline with affection. Some of you feel guilty even imagining a life without the person who has been controlling you. You wonder if you are exaggerating. You question whether you are being ungrateful. But ask yourself honestly, when you imagine distance, do you feel fear, or do you feel a quiet sense of relief? That relief is information. Pay attention to it. Now let me speak strength into you. You are not weak for needing peace. You are not selfish for protecting your mind. You are not cold for setting limits. You are becoming healthy. Healthy people do not tolerate repeated disrespect. Healthy people do not negotiate their dignity. Healthy people do not confuse intimidation with love. And you are becoming healthy. This process may feel lonely at times. When you step out of manipulation, the silence can feel unfamiliar. The absence of constant emotional noise can feel strange. But in that quiet, you will rediscover yourself. You will remember what you enjoy. You will remember how you think. You will remember what peace feels like. And slowly your nervous system will calm. Your mind will clear. Your heart will steady. Freedom is not loud. It is peaceful. Let me give you another powerful truth. Whoever truly loves you will never require you to betray yourself to keep them. Turn that into knowledge. If keeping someone requires you to silence your truth, diminish your needs, or tolerate control, that cost is too high. You are not meant to lose yourself to keep someone else. You are meant to grow alongside someone, not under them. And hear me clearly, you will not miss what is truly meant for you by releasing what manipulates you. Healthy love will not require chasing. It will not require convincing. It will not require constant proof. It will feel mutual. It will feel respectful. It will feel steady. And until that kind of love enters your life, I am enough to sustain you. You are not alone in this transition. I am strengthening your backbone. I am restoring your self-trust. I am healing the places where doubt took root. You will not go back to confusion. You will not return to self-betrayal. You will not shrink to be chosen. You are chosen already. And as you continue walking in this clarity, manipulation will no longer have a hiding place in your life. Stay with me. Let this truth seal your heart. We are building a foundation of discernment that will protect you for years to come. Everything I have spoken to you is not to make you suspicious of everyone. It is to make you wise. I'm not teaching you to close your heart. I am teaching you to guard it with understanding. The spirit of manipulation hides as care because it knows you value love. It knows you are compassionate. It knows you want connection. But now you see clearly, not all concern is pure, not all protection is healthy, and not all intensity is intimacy. From this day forward, you will measure love differently. You will not be impressed by control. You will not be flattered by jealousy. You will not be intimidated by emotional pressure. You will look for peace. You will look for consistency. You will look for mutual respect. And most of all, you will listen to the quiet voice inside you that says, "This feels right," or "This feels wrong." That voice matters. Remember this final truth. Real love feels safe, not suffocating. Turn that into wisdom for the rest of your life. If it suffocates your voice, your joy, your growth, it is not from me. To those of you listening right now, wherever you are, I want you to know this. You are not meant to live controlled, confused, or constantly anxious. You are meant to live free, confident, and secure in who you are. You do not need to earn love by enduring manipulation. You do not need to keep peace by losing yourself. You do not need to stay where your spirit feels trapped. I am leading you into healthier connections. I am restoring your discernment. I am rebuilding your confidence. I am healing your boundaries. Walk forward without guilt. Stand firm without anger. Love again, but love wisely. You are protected. You are guided. You are deeply loved. And from this day forward, manipulation will no longer hide in your life as care.